Welcome everyone, and thank you for being here today. My name is Yandy Reynoso, and I am one of the advisors for Education USA in Mexico City. Before we start our session, we just suggest you to please keep your microphones and your cameras off. You are welcome to send your questions to the username Marta Beltran, who is also an Education USA advisor in Mexico City, and we will review your questions at the end of the presentation. Our topic for today's session will be about building a college timeline for undergraduate admissions, and our guest today, Khristin, from Georgia State University, will talk more about the college timeline for undergraduate admissions, and also making your application stick out while applying to US colleges and much more. So yeah, let's get started. Before I give the time to Khristin to talk about her presentation, we just want to mention what Education USA is. Education USA is a U.S. Department of State network of over 430 international student advising centers in more than 175 countries and territories. As you can see on screen, our network promotes U.S. higher education to students around the world by offering accurate, comprehensive, and also current information about the different opportunities available to you to study at accredited institutions in the U.S. We are your official source on U.S. higher education. Please also remember that all of our services and activities, such as workshops, webinars like this one, and personalized sessions, are free of charge. So if you're interested in learning more about our services and activities, we will recommend you to get in contact with your closest Education USA Advising Center by visiting our official website, educationusa.state.gov. And also, whether you plan to pursue a short-term or full degree program in the US, Education USA, we have the resources you need in your 5 steps to US study. And you can learn more about these steps by visiting our official website. So thank you so much, Khristin, for being here, and the time is yours. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And first, I want to say just thank you, Education USA, for inviting me to today's session. I really enjoyed just giving a little bit more insight for prospective students just to learn about the college admissions process and really get ready to start that journey. It's always a great time to get a head start on this process, especially with all the steps that you are going to have to take. So it's important to come to different sessions like this for all different universities, just so you can get a little bit more insight of what may fit your actual best interest. So with that being said, to introduce myself, my name is Khristin. I am an international admissions counselor here at Georgia State University. I've been in higher education for about 6 years now. I'm with Georgia State for about 3 now. And I really enjoy working with the international student population because you all are so intelligent and you are what makes the actual universities and campuses. So hopefully at the end of this presentation, you get really excited about Georgia State, but just college in general. And hopefully you'll have a point of contact, someone who's actually looking at applications and admitting students, and you are getting familiar with this process. So next slide, please. So the agenda for today is we're going to talk a little bit about building a college timeline, making your application stick out on college applications, and then you'll get a little brief overview about Georgia State University, and the remainder of the time will be for Q&A. Next slide, please. So building a college timeline, next slide. So what is building a college timeline? What does this mean? So, and first and foremost, before I begin starting with that, I do want to talk a little bit about what a college admission counselor is. So that's what I do specifically. So what we do is that we recruit new students. We also may interview prospective students that may be interested in the college itself. We evaluate recruitment techniques and data. So pretty much doing outreach and building relationships with education or like organizations such as Education USA, but different high schools, counselors, community colleges, even agencies, and just working with prospective students that's looking to start college in general. We also make admissions decisions. So we are the front line of making to see your application. We are the first individuals to get to see your application. So once you apply, we are reading that, looking at your essays, we're looking at your academic credentials, we're looking at your personal statements, resumes, and just your interests in general. So we want to be sure that you are getting the information that you need and getting the proper assistance that you need to make sure you're successful with that application process. Again, lastly, we do help prospective students understand the college admissions process. As I mentioned, so any questions that you may have about admissions, a college admissions counselor is the individual that will be able to assist you. Next slide, please. And I do see someone raise their hand. So at the end of the presentation, you will have the option to ask your questions. So I'll be sure to answer all the questions I can, and we'll turn it over to the floor at the end of the presentation. So thank you so much. So building a timeline, it's so important to start doing your research ahead of time. That's one thing that I mentioned a little bit earlier before I got started, is that you want to understand the college admission process in general. So what does it take to get admitted into the university? Does this university have your major that you're looking to pursue? Like, what's the climate? Are you interested in applying to a school with warm weather? Or do you want to go more so up north here in the United States with cooler weather? So do you like the snow? Do you like skiing? Do you like having winter majority of the time while you're on campus? What's the scale of school? So you know yourself better than anyone. So what type of environment do you learn best in? Are you more so of a large institution? So that's 10,000 plus students at one university. Or are you in that medium range? So do you like around the 5,000 student population? Or are you more of a small private institution student where you may have an entire university that have 800 students or 1,500 students? So really understanding yourself, maybe doing some personality tests like Myers-Briggs, so you can really understand like what type of characteristics do you work best in. Even doing some things to like job shadowing, doing some research to see what does this college offer? How can I benefit from it? And is this a good investment for the next 4 years? You also want to be applying early. So this is important when it comes to deadlines. So applying early has several different benefits. Some of those benefits include scholarship opportunities. You may get early decision. So getting your application decision earlier, so you have more time to really kind of compare and contrast all of your application decisions, and you're making a really realistic decision for that next 4 years. Or if you decide to go to a community college that you are having some type of plan to do a 2-year and maybe transfer into a 4-year school to finish out your bachelor's degree. So applying early is going to give you that opportunity to really start to give you more time to make that decision. Because making a college decision is not an easy task. Because for one, you have so many different options to as far as applying to different schools. If you don't know, there are over 5,000 different universities and colleges here in the United States. And every single one of them are very different. They all have different requirements. They all are looking for different credentials. They may require different essays and etc. So there's so much research that you may have to put into actually applying to a university. But I promise if you start this process earlier, it's only going to save you more time when you get to that college, that senior level in high school, or if you're a transfer student and you're ready to transfer, like you have a little bit more idea about like what you're looking for. Another thing that you want to do is be sure that you're contacting the admissions counselors. So this means that you are building that relationship with the admissions counselor, such as myself, or any other admissions counselor that you're working with. This is going to help that counselor really understand who you are, get to know you as well. Because the thing is, like, we read thousands of applications every single year. So if you are continuing to build that relationship with that admissions counselor, it's going to only just take a matter of the time of being able to, talk with you as far as the virtual visits. So, you want to just come to visit schools, do virtual visits, really kind of come to education sessions such as these, information sessions, events that people are hosting. Be sure to attend every last one of those, because that's where you get a little bit more information about that university. You can ask your questions to somebody live on, actually be in front of somebody and ask your questions and build that relationship with that school. And again, attend school events. This can also include your virtual event, your virtual campus tours. If you have the option and you're fortunate to be able to travel to a university to do a campus tour, that's even better. Because sometimes, actually, a lot of people will tell you, if you visit a university, like, you will automatically get that feeling if that is the university for yourself. Like, any person that will that you ask that actually attended the university, they will tell you, like, hey, when I stepped on this campus, like, I just felt like this was where I'm supposed to be. So you'll get that feeling if you visit in person. And even with virtual events, you can also get that feeling too. Communication, emailing, building that rapport will also save you a little bit more time. So those are a few things that you can do to really build that timeline as you are applying to universities. Next slide, please. Transitioning to how to make your application stick out. Next slide. All right, so just to give you a little bit more insight about just applying to schools here in the United States. So again, we do have over more than 5,000 colleges and universities. So we have schools such as far east, as far north, south, east, and west. So again, it depends on what it is that you're looking for, and like, where do you feel comfortable? Like, what type of climate? That's where this comes in play again. What type of climate are you looking for? If you're going all the way west, that's more like beachy area. You're going to be by the water. It's going to be a lot warmer. So lots of nice palm trees and etc. If you go more east and north, you're still going to be surrounded by water, but it's going to be a little bit more cooler atmosphere. So you're going to get more snow than you would as if you were out west. And just to give you an example, like where Georgia State is located, so we are right in between Florida and South Carolina. So if you see the capital here, so that red star is the capital of the state of Georgia. So which is Atlanta, which is the largest city in the southeast region of the United States. So that just kind of gives you a visual idea, geographic idea of where we're located and where schools are all over. You'll also notice that there are several different university types as you are, as you're applying to universities, such as comprehensive research universities. So this is universities that are going to have research as a part of your curriculum. So meaning you are going to be getting out into the community, and you are going to be putting up research. You may be in the lab, you may work with an actual professor to come up with some type of research opportunity. And those can turn into stipends. You can get money for it, and you can even present it at large conferences to win different awards, or even publish an article. So those are huge. And that's also going to help you build your resume, build your portfolio as you're going throughout the university. You also have a variety of university colleges and liberal arts colleges. Usually, sometimes this can be a little, the liberal art universities can be a little bit smaller, but they are going to be based upon your liberal arts. So they may offer things such as theater, performing arts, dance class, so those are some things that you can also think about as you're applying to universities. You also have differences between community colleges and technical colleges. So these are colleges that it's not going to take as long to graduate. Community colleges, they usually only offer 2-year associate degrees, and technical colleges, a lot of times they'll offer actual trade skills. So it may not take you the entire 4 years to complete that degree, because normally it's not It's not as rigorous as a four-year university, but a lot of students who start at community college level or technical colleges, they'll get like a certificate or they'll finish their associate's degree. And then later on within their career, or if they plan to continue on with education, they will move towards a bachelor's degree. So it may not take them as long to complete a bachelor's degree because they started at the community college level first. You also have the differences between public, state, and universities and private universities. So public schools are going to be more of your larger institutions, and then private universities can be smaller. There are some considered larger private universities, but the differences between the two is public and state, they're normally funded through the actual government itself, and private universities are more funded through like your stipends, your alumni, and like different private financial aid or financial assistance. And then language institutions. So some of you may be familiar with this, is that if you, let's say you, English isn't your native language and you are wanting to improve your English. So, there are universities that are specifically designed for that as well, such as ESL programs, intensive English programs, so that you can improve your English before you actually begin courses at that university. So you get that, get strong in that English category, so you're understanding and comprehending the English language as so whenever you graduate or whenever you start classes, you're good to go and you are setting yourself up for success for that way. Next slide, please. All right, so ways to make your college application stick out. So there are several different ways that you can have your application stick out. This is not, I'm not saying this is going to be like the perfect guideline as far as making your application stick out, but these are just a few ways that you can get familiar with. And every single individual that is listed on that's here on this meeting can really benefit from listening to this and actually following some of these things as you're applying to universities. So the first option I'm going to talk about is just choosing your high school classes with intention. So one thing that I have noticed is that students will get to that senior year and they will realize that, man, I really didn't focus too much on my grades my freshman and my sophomore year. Maybe your interests and your intentions were elsewhere or your priority was elsewhere. You get to that senior year and now you are ready to apply to college, but let's say your GPA isn't as high as you would like. So as you are starting your high school journey, it's important to choose your high school classes with intention, to choose your high school courses that you know that you can be successful in, to take courses that you are interested in. So whenever you get to that point of applying to colleges, you have an idea of what it is that you want to do. And I'm not saying you have to know exactly what it is that you want to do when you graduate, but however, just being able to start in that at an earlier age or earlier time in your high school career is really going to help you make those decisions a little bit easier whenever you start applying to universities. So for example, of choosing your high school class with intention. So if you're wanting to become an engineer, a lot of students who will want to take engineering and you're like, yeah, that's exactly what it is that I want to do. So first thing I ask, have you ever taken a physics class? Have you ever taken a very intense mathematics course? Those are things that you want to choose your high school classes with intention so that you are understanding that this is pretty much the entire 4 years when you apply to college. This is the entire 4 years of what type of courses you're going to take. So that will give you a little bit of introduction of like that entry level into an engineering program. Striving for good grades. I cannot stress this enough as far as you want to have good grades whenever you're applying to universities. And we all understand that, sometimes you mess up, sometimes your course you try your hardest and that's, you just don't get the grade that you're looking for. We totally understand that, but we're going to look at your efforts. So let's say you don't do too well in a science course your freshman year. How did you recuperate? How did you reevaluate yourself? How did you reassess? So we're going to look at that sophomore, that junior, that senior year. Like, did you have like a pattern that you're following? Or, did you really try to push yourself, take honors courses, take AP courses, take some IB courses if you have that option? So those are things that you just want to strive for good grades. And even if you don't, if you don't do so well your freshman year, you have to make that up. There's a way to do so. If your grades aren't as high, try to score extremely high on like your test scores, such as SAT or ACT. Have a really stellar essay or have really stellar personal statements or resumes. So those are type of things that, even if you're not the strongest academic student, that's all right. There's other ways that, other factors that universities will look at. So if you can't be strong in one suit, try to be strong in multiple things. So like you can be looked at as a holistic whole. Participate in extra activities or extracurricular activities. So this is joining a team, become an athlete, join the soccer team, join the basketball team, join baseball, or anything of that matter that you can join is going to help you stick out on your application. If you're not an athlete, join band, become a student leader. Anything that it is that you can do, that you can put on your extra activities, do it. Volunteer, job shadow, create an app, get on TikTok and become viral, and do something that's motivating and etc. And now the entire world is looking at you. So those are things that you can definitely do, especially with social media nowadays. There's so much that students are, I would say Generation Z students are extremely creative. So use that to your advantage, and because those are things that's going to only help your application whenever you're applying. Tell a story of who you are. So this is one of my favorite, just having your application stick out. And the reason why I say this is my favorite is because through essays, personal statements, resumes, and letter of recommendations, and this is not limited, you can even do like portfolios. This is really how we get to know an individual personally. So if you have an essay and like you really give like a heartfelt story or a situation or something that's impactful that you've overcome, that's what's going to have me like, oh my goodness, like I haven't came across an application with a story like this impactful. So those things are going to stick out to you. Because again, we read thousands of applications, and we're all looking at the academics, we're all looking at your grades, but what else do you have to offer? What are some other things that you are able to give? What are some other things that's going to tell who you are as an individual? Include supplementary material. So this again, it can be like a portfolio. So if you are into the film and media, have you created like a movie? Have you created an app? Add those type of things. Do you draw? Add those portfolios, add all of those things into your application. So again, you can submit that. That's only going to help you with your application when you're applying. Challenge yourself with challenging courses such as honors and IB AP courses. So we talked a little bit about that earlier. Applying early and meeting deadlines. Deadlines are very important, especially when it comes to applying to colleges. Deadlines can make or break and pretty much tell you whether or not you can be considered for admissions. If you're missing a deadline, if you don't submit your material on time, that can be pretty much the consequence is going to be you have to defer to a later term. So now you're either taking a gap year or you have to go elsewhere because you missed those deadlines. It's pretty much the same concept whenever you turn in a late assignment or you miss a late assignment. There's going to be consequences. So if you can stay ahead of application deadlines, and getting things in earlier, it's only going to help at the end of the day. And again, research your college in advance. Again, I can't stress this enough. Research, because there's so many different universities that you can actually attend and apply to, but you want to find that university that fits best for you. Next slide, please. All right, so what's in a file? So these are, and again, this can look very different for every university. So typically, this is the type of things you're going to see, and this is what admission counselors are going to be asking for you whenever you're applying to universities. So of course, my high school seniors, students who are currently in high school, we're going to be looking for your official high school transcript. So this can be a record of your final marks for grades, your 9 year through 11 if you are currently a senior, or if you've already graduated from high school, we're going to need all of your 9th through your 12th grade years. If you are a transfer student and you're currently attending college, then we are going to need your official college transcript. And if it's a foreign, if it's international, more than likely it will be. We're going to also need a international credential evaluation, which is a course by course document. So this international credential evaluation will pretty much tell us all of the courses that you have taken for the at the foreign university, and it's going to compare it to what it would be here in the United States. So this is how we get your overall GPA and the number of credits that you transfer in. And then going back to my current high school students, we offer at Georgia State, we offer in-house evaluations for all high school documents. So we just need your official high school transcript, or if you've taken like IB courses or AP courses, we'll need your exam grades for that, like your CLEP scores, and then we will actually do the in-house evaluation. But for college transcripts, we need that international credential evaluation so we can get that GPA in your credit number. SAT, SAT subject test, ACT test scores pretty much, TOEFL, AP scores if applicable. So majority of the universities are going to be asking for SAT or ACT. Now some schools may still be test optional, or you're not required to take ACT or SAT. So again, that's where it's going to become in handy whenever you do your research in advance. TOEFL and AP, well, that's also English proficiency. So we require any student that is not, if English is not your native speaking language, we're going to require English proficiency from you. So that could be through TOEFL, it could be through IELTS. You can also satisfy that need with SAT reading or an ACT English score. So there are certain scores that we're looking for that can satisfy that English proficiency. But one thing about here at Georgia State University, we do require SAT or ACT test scores and English proficiency. But if you meet the minimum of the reading and SAT score, then that will satisfy the English proficiency. Or if you meet that minimum English score and ACT, then that can also satisfy your English proficiency. You may also see universities offering, asking for your teacher recommendation forms and letters, personal statements and essays. Again, this is information that is going to help that university really get to know you more on a personal level. And this is also something where you can have somebody to vouch for your leadership or like your efforts, your work ethics, just how you are as a student just in general, because that counselor, that teacher, that principal, that employer, they've been working with you for way longer than we have. So they'll be able to just really give a little bit more insight about who you are as a person. And then your application. So of course, on your application, we're going to be asking for your personal information. So like your biographical information, high school information, like what you're interested in, tell you a little bit about your academic history based upon your high school or your college education so far. It will also be, you'll be able to list any awards, any activities, any things that you won that's going to help your application stick out. And just to give a little bit more insight about like your residency. So how can we direct you to make sure you are doing the proper steps, like when it comes to just immigration documents in general. All right, and then your details of extra activities. So again, you can list all your honors and your awards. And then even you may see things such as notes from your campus alumni interview. So like, are you being interviewed for a scholarship? Are you being interviewed to be entered into a program or honors college? So those are all types of things that you will see in a typical file. And those are pretty much almost what every single school is going to be looking for. Next slide, please. All right, and I just wanted to touch base a little bit about STEM in the US. This also ties in with like being very attentive with selecting your courses in high school or just in college in general. So STEM is a growing field here in the United States. So if you don't know what STEM stands for, it stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So if you are an individual who is looking to go into one of those programs, really kind of understand what are the type of steps you're going to have to take in order to be admitted into a specific program. Because STEM is extremely competitive, but it does have its rewarding and benefits that comes with it. So with STEM programs in the United States, it does provide real world experience with hands-on approach and teaching supported by advanced technology. You have better career opportunities. More than likely, students who actually enroll in STEM programs, they are going to actually have higher salaries as they graduate. And then, of course, you have developing research opportunities that you can participate in. You know, medical is always growing. That's not going to go anywhere. Science is always constantly changing. So just the opportunities that you have with STEM programs here in the United States is really going to open up the opportunity for you. Next slide, please. Excuse me, I just got some water. Alrighty, to finish it off, we do have, I'm just going to go over a little bit about Georgia State overview. So this is just going to give you a little bit more insight about Georgia State in general. All right, so Georgia State, we are considered a large institution with over 250 degree majors. So we vary from 11 different colleges and schools. So you can kind of see all of those schools here. Excuse me, let me just turn this heat off for a second. Let me get some more. My throat has gotten dry, so I apologize, everyone. All right, so to continue on, so we do have 11 different colleges and schools here at Georgia State. So some of our largest colleges and schools that we have is the College of Arts and Science. One of our most popular is College of Business. So it actually has over 11, or actually 26 different concentrations within itself. So that can vary from like marketing, accounting, entrepreneurship, real estate. There is so much that you can do just within the business degree itself. We also have smaller schools that are more living learning communities, such as our Perimeter College, which is our 2-year associate degrees, and also Honors College. So again, like I'm not going to go over every single one of these colleges, but again, we do have a variety of different majors that we offer. So again, 250 degree majors here. So there is something out there for everybody. Next slide, please. Sorry. All right, so some of the STEM films that we have here in Georgia State include computer science, data science, biology, chemistry, environmental sciences, your game design and development, and for information system. We also have mathematics, neuroscience, biomedical sciences, physics, psychology, and education technology. So again, STEM is a growing field here in the United States. And so again, if you are interested in one of these majors, be very attentive with like how you are pursuing this degree. Take those courses in high school, challenge yourself, but don't overdo it so where it's like really hurting your GPA or just your overall performance. But get yourself familiar with like what it is that you're going to be doing as you move forward with like as you actually pick a major at the university that you choose. Next slide, please. So just to give you a screenshot of like what a typical first year profile looks like. So this is like our average profile from our first year students. So these are our recent high school graduates. So there was a high school core GPA of a 3.25 to a 3.76. So that's around the average GPA that we've seen students with. SAT was around a 1030 to a 1220. And this was just your reading and your math combined. And then ACT composite score of a 20 to 26. Now this was based upon the fall 2020 list. So we weren't accepting SAT or ACT. So this year it could, the GPA could have went up. SAT average could have also went up as well, but this just kind of give you an overall profile. Next slide, please. I'm so sorry. I got a tickle in my throat. I apologize about that. So if I keep coughing, that is the reason why. I'm about to move on with the transfer requirements. We do have, for a transfer student, in order to be considered a transfer, you do have to have at least 30 transferable credits or more. from a college, a previous college that you're attending. So it could be, a college that you're attending in your current city, or you could be attending a college here in the United States. So if you are a true transfer student, you do have to have at least 30 transferable credits. And if it's foreign, then we need that course by course evaluation, as I mentioned earlier. You do have to also have maintain a 2.5 GPA, and you also have to be in good academic standing and eligible to re-enroll at your previous institution. So pretty much just saying that you have a good academic history at your previous school. Transition students, so this will only pretty much consist of students who decide to start at our 2-year associate degree. So that's Perimeter College. So Georgia State University, we also are a part of Georgia State University Perimeter College. That is our 2-year associate degree programs. We have over 5 different campuses here, all in the metro Atlanta city. So it's about 20 to 30 minutes from our main downtown Atlanta campus. So we have Atlanta, and then we have the 5 perimeter campuses surrounded by it. So if you decide to start at our Georgia State University Perimeter College to pursue your associate's degree, then you can actually transition to downtown Atlanta to finish out your bachelor's degree. You will have to at least maintain a 2.0 GPA, have 30 credit hours, and then of course your area A, which is like your math and your English course. But after that, you can transition right into that 4-year degree. Some of the benefits about Perimeter College is that it is less expensive. So it's about 3 times less expensive than the downtown Atlanta campus. It's smaller classroom sizes. So downtown Atlanta has about 33 undergraduate students. Perimeter College have about 5,000 total between the 5 campuses. And another benefit that a lot of our international students took advantage of is our online program. So you can take all online courses in your home country. So let's say you can't travel to the United States, or if you just have travel restrictions, or you just can't get your visa in time, then you can actually take advantage of our online only courses. You can take classes at your own rate. It doesn't require a visa. And then after you've taken 30 transferable credits, or if you just are ready to transition that next semester, you just submit a transition application and you can move towards on-campus classes. So that is another benefit about Georgia State Perimeter College. Next slide, please. All right, so application deadlines. So I'll talk a little bit about the importance of having application deadlines. So you can see here between Atlanta campus and Perimeter College is that there are a few different deadlines that you want to pay attention to. So for the first year for Atlanta campus is the fall. So for our freshmen, you will notice that there are 3 different application deadlines. November 15th, priority, which is pretty much students who are wanting to be considered for honors college. March 1st is the scholarship deadline. So if you're wanting to be considered for our out-of-state scholarship, that is, you want to be sure that you're applying and submitting all of your documents in by that time. Then May 1st, you have until May 1st to be considered for admissions here at Georgia State, but I always encourage students to apply by that March 1st deadline so you can be considered for scholarship. And then for transfer, June 1st, and there's really not a difference between the deadlines between spring semester and summer semester. The difference is just classes start at a different time of the year. Next slide, please. Scholarships and aid. So this is I'll get a lot of questions from students about scholarships and aid, and then like, how do I fund college? So this is a huge part of it. And this can also be a big factor in like how you make a decision of where you attend a university. So just to get you familiar with some terminology. So you have your merit-based scholarships, which is based upon your academic credentials. So SAT, ACT, your GPA. Then you also have need-based scholarships, which is like your financial assistance. So how much money do you need based upon your family income or your income in general? So a lot of students will ask about the CSS profile. So Georgia State, we don't specifically accept CSS profiles, but a lot of schools up north do. And so they can base your financial aid upon that. And then specifically here at Georgia State University, we do offer all of our international students out-of-state waiver. It is first come, first serve. So that's why it's important to apply by that scholarship deadline of March 1st to be considered for this. So it's based upon your GPA. For the 100% tuition waiver, you want to have at least an overall GPA of a 3.6 or higher. So this is all based upon your subject core, like your core classes. And it pretty much, if you receive the 100% tuition waiver, you are paying the same in-state tuition rate as all other students that are here in the United States, here in Georgia. So it's a nice scholarship that will that can go towards your tuition, and you can seek up to $20,000 a year. The 50% tuition, it's not quite as high as the 100%, but it still gives you a really nice discounted rate. So you're not paying the whole out of state pocket tuition rate. So it's not going to cover like everything, nor will the 100% tuition waiver cover everything. But for the 50%, you can seek up to, I believe it's about $16,000 for the year. And then there's also departmental scholarships. So this is based upon your majors, so working with your professors to see what type of scholarships they have for, your major, or if there is a project that you can help them with, can they give you a stipend? And a stipend is pretty much like a kind of like a grant that's awarded to students to accomplish or complete some type of project. You have project-based awards. So again, this can be based upon like research opportunity. It could be based upon honors college, just submitting something that, like going to conferences. And then you have your educational and personal loans as well. So there's a few different ways, the differences between educational loans, grants, and scholarships is that grants, you don't have to pay back. Scholarships, you don't have to pay back. Now loans, you do have to pay back. So just kind of keep that in mind whenever you are looking at your finances for applying to colleges. Next slide, please. So that is all I have for you today. One tip I do want to be sure to put out there before I leave today, because I had this situation happen not too long ago. Whenever you are applying to universities, be sure that you are using your real name, the name that you were born with. Because we have students all the time that will put like a nickname, or they will put like a name that it just does not fall, it doesn't work with their application, or that's not how they apply. So it's very hard to find students and make sure we're attaching the right documents with that application. So how you apply to your college, apply the same way to your SAT, apply the same way to SAT test dates, apply the same way to your loans, to financial aid, to anything, like use the same name for everything, because that's going to make it much easier on admission colleges. And then, it's not going to delay that process whenever you're applying to universities. So with that being said, I will turn it over to you all. Turn it back over to the advisors, and I am happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Thank you. Before we jump into the Q&A and before we lose some of you, I do want to invite you to a few events from Education USA before you guys leave. As you may know, the Opportunity Funds Scholarship Call application is now open. So please, we encourage you to visit the website that you see on screen for further details. This scholarship is the only one from Education USA, and it's just financial aid to cover the admissions costs to apply to study in the US. If you're interested, for example, in studying at Georgia State University, and you have hardship to cover the admissions cost, and then this scholarship it's good for you. We will also have a Facebook Live next Wednesday, where we will also review some questions that you may have about the Opportunity Funds Scholarship at 6 p.m. through the Facebook page of Education USA Mexico. And please follow us in social media and visit also all of our official website. I will make sure to share the website of Georgia State University if you're interested in learning more about this institution, so you can learn more about the resources, virtual tour, and also to get in contact with Khristin. So let's go to the Q&A.
Thank you, Yendi. Thank you, Khristin, as well, for all the information. And we do have questions. So we have a student from Paraguay, and is saying, in my country, grades go from 1 to 5 in Paraguay. How could I translate or calculate that into the American GPA?
Yeah, so that is a great question. So what we do here specifically at Georgia State University is that we actually have an in-house foreign credential evaluator. So all high school documents, we actually will translate and transfer your GPA ourselves in-house. Another way you can get your GPA translated is through actual like a third party. So like a foreign credential evaluator. So this can be, I don't know if you're familiar with like a NACES. So NACES is a large institution that, or an organization that has like 12 different members of evaluation companies. So you can actually submit your original and official high school documents or like your exams, your transcripts to this company, and they will actually evaluate your overall GPA. But we do that in-house. So we try to save you a little bit more money because it can be cost efficient. Just trying to do all of, try to do all of those evaluations, and it can get pretty pricey if you're doing an evaluation for every single school. So, some schools actually have in-house evaluation foreign credentials that can do that for you. It's again, it just comes to doing that research in advance. So before you spend that money, spend that $200 on an evaluation company, I would definitely suggest you reaching out to that university or like an admissions counselor to see if they actually have an in-house evaluator. So then you can save a little bit more money and that you can put that $200 towards something else, like some other tuition expense.
Oh, that's great. Khristin, can we have the name of the company anyhow, if you can cite it in the chat?
Yeah, I will get that link to you as well.
So going with that answer, so if the university in the US, they do not have a credential evaluator, that's the company that they are going to use, like the official one?
Correct. Yeah, majority of universities are going here in the United States are going to be using a NACES member. So again, there are like 15, it's like 12 to 15 different members that you can choose from. Some of them have different requirements, and some of them are a little bit less expensive, and some of them are more faster with processing that evaluation. So if you have a school that don't have an actual in-house evaluator, then you can go through that NACES company and you can use any of the current members and you can get that transcript evaluated.
Wow, perfect. That's very good to know.
And I will also recommend you, the attendee from Paraguay, to also to get in contact with your closest Education USA Advising Center. I am pretty sure the advisors there can also help you with this credential evaluation process.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And to know more about the benefits that Paraguay can provide to the people living over there. Okay, there is another question. I did my high school online in AIU High School, North Beach, Florida, but my school counselor told me that my teachers can't write me a letter of recommendation because I did my high school online. How can I solve my problem? Which other type of letter I can suggest?
Yeah, that is a wonderful question as well. So I would recommend if you if your counselor cannot submit like a recommendation letter, as some of our advisors here on Education USA mentioned, Education USA, if you have a good rapport with them, they can write recommendation letters. You can also get like older teachers if you have that opportunity. If you have a job, you can have your employer write a recommendation letter. If you've done any like volunteer work, or if you've been out in the public, did community service, that is, and you have like a mentor, those individuals can write recommendation letters. So it doesn't always just have to be a teacher recommendation letter, but somebody that can pretty much vouch, that can verify that they are actually like a administrator, or they are somebody that is like verified or official. who can write that recommendation letter. Like, for example, you can't have your parent write a recommendation letter. Every parent's gonna say, the greatest things about you, I'm sure, but we don't accept parent recommendation letters or like family member recommendation letters. But if you have built a relationship outside of like school, community service, volunteering, working, those are all individuals that you can still ask for recommendation letters, because they have also witnessed your work, your leadership, your ethics, things that you have accomplished, and etc. So, or a coach as well. If you're an athlete, have a coach write a recommendation letter for you.
Perfect. Another question. What if I can't choose my classes in high school?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And again, every single country is extremely different. So we totally understand that. Absolutely. If you can't necessarily choose the courses that you want, that you would like in high school, just given the education system in general, if there is a specific major, like especially with STEM that you're interested in, that's where you can do like SAT subject test. So you can do like subject test in math, you can do a subject test in science, you can do a subject test in writing, English, anything of that matter or history, anything of that matter that's going to help like just pretty much solidify that you're really knowledgeable in this subject specifically. So those are things that you can also, if you can't choose your classes in high school, because we're aware, like we know every single school, you can't choose those, but you can still have that opportunity with taking like SAT subject classes.
Perfect. Khristin, while in the US, and if the university granted me with a scholarship, should I open a bank account in the US or in Mexico?
Well, it depends. You can do both. And the reason why I say do both is because if you're on an F1, J1 visa, like whenever you are scheduling your appointment with the embassy, you're going to have to show state bank statements. You're going to have to show financial documents to show that you are able to pay for your education when you arrive to the United States. So if you have a bank account, it's probably going to be impossible to get you a bank account in the United States if you are currently in your home country. So, I would suggest, if it's talking with your Education USA advisors, they are the perfect individuals that will be able to assist you with just opening bank accounts and just really kind of guiding you with that step. Like when you get to the United States, you have all the opportunity to open up a bank account. We have our ISSS department. Normally for most universities, you'll have like an international advising team that will be able to help you get your social security card. You can start working, you get your work authorization. And then you can, once you get that social security card, then you can actually open a bank here in America. But yeah, one thing I would say, talk with your education advisors, and they are, when I tell you they're so knowledgeable with this stuff, they are experts when it comes to it. So really take advantage of that.
Thank you. If the scholarship exceeds the cost of attendance, is that right? Or should I ask someone at the university?
Yeah, I would definitely suggest, and if I'm hearing that clearly, you said if it exceeds the cost, so pretty much that it covers everything. Pretty much if it covers everything, that means you don't have to pay anything out of pocket. So whatever is over that money, that is a credit now. So you get an actual refund and you actually are able to utilize that money elsewhere. So one thing what I would do, like if you do receive a scholarship and you're just not like you don't know exactly what it covers or what it will go towards and etc., talk with your admissions counselors, talk with the financial aid center. So like your student financial management centers, they'll be able to really explain and go into detail what your exact bill is, what your cost is, what type of financial assistance you're having that will go towards that bill, and then what your expected cost, or if you have a credit and everything's covered. So if you have everything covered, that's fortunate. That's a blessing.
That's great. Perfect. So that's extra money, right? For the student.
It's extra money, yes. And that's money you can pay for books. You can do, if you need like toiletries, if you need additional stuff, or even like you can roll it over to your next year or your next semester.
It's awesome. Perfect. Another question is, what should I do if I'm taking IB courses, but my IB exams are after the applying deadlines?
Yeah, so that's totally fine as well. As long as we have, like, if you're a current high school student, as long as we have at least that 9th grade through your 11th grade, like, we need at least 3 completed years. So if you get your IB scores after the deadline, that's totally fine. We will reevaluate it once you submit those IB scores.
Perfect. And well, another question here. If studying at a language institute, can I apply for undergraduate program while being in the US without going back to Mexico?
So that's a tricky question. It really kind of depends on, for one, your residency. It also depends on what school or what institution that you're at as well. So majority of schools, like if you actually have, if English proficiency is a requirement, you must complete that English proficiency first. So your file is going to stay incomplete until you have submitted everything. So most of the time, if you are enrolled at an ESL program, you're not going to be able to actually take classes at that university because you have not met the admission requirements yet.
Perfect. Well, this question that we can also help in Education USA. My question is that where do I apply for scholarship and how do I know if I am eligible? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that depends also on each university, right, Khristin? They need to.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And also, like, I know we're not, like, Georgia State isn't affiliated with CSS profiles, but that is also a way that you can see, like, what financial assistance that's eligible as well, you know, working with Education USA advisors and also doing some personal research to see what other, like, just international scholarships you have, or if you happen to have, like, dual citizenship, because I know a lot of people may have that as well. So if you are a US citizen, that's where FAFSA will come in play. So that is your application for federal student aid. So that is where also you may qualify for other different Pell Grants or different student loans or other different financial and government assistantship.
Perfect. That's everything. That's all the questions that we have gotten.
Awesome. Yeah, is there anyone that wants to unmute themselves, raise your hand and ask a question? I definitely suggest raise your hand if you do have a question, just to keep it a little bit organized and we're respecting everyone.
I will just go back to this slide where you share your email in case everyone has any additional questions for Khristin. Make sure to reach out the international admissions email from Georgia State University, and they will be happy to assist you and give you more details. And also Khristin has shared her email with everyone on the chat. Mm-hmm. Perfect.
And the last link I just sent, that is for, like, all of our events that we host here at Georgia State. So we do have virtual office hours Monday through Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m. So you can speak with somebody live. My days are Tuesday. And then we have somebody from the international team, like Monday, Thursday, and Wednesday and Thursday. And then we also have perspective information sessions too, specifically about Georgia State. But we also do events like how to navigate your common application, you know, building a timeline, you know, learning about scholarships and et cetera. So just things that are going to be beneficial that you're going to eventually run into when you get to applying for colleges.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Khristin, for being here today and for this great information. I hope everyone found it helpful. Make sure to reach out to Georgia State and also to your closest Education USA Advising Center if you have any other questions. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and we'll be in contact with you soon.
Thank you. You all have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Bye.